Okay. So I recorded this video yesterday. I even uploaded it, but it didn't have any audio. I was muted. So now I make sure we're good. Anyway, I'm taking a break from Ostrich DB. I released 04. It's got some nice features, some improvements, a lot more work to do on that, but I want to take a break so I don't get burnt out. So I'm going to work on something new in the going to be built with Odin to continue to learn. I really like this language to continue to get better at it. I'm going to build a programming language. This is my third attempt at a language of some sort. The first one was called Otium, which was doing in Python when I was first learning. I thought that'd be pretty fun. I did not finish that, of course. The second one is actually one I'm not going to tell anybody about, really, but that one's still planned. And also, actually, I forgot I'm making a query language called FeatherQL. So technically, this will be the fourth time that I'm trying to do something like this. But this time, I actually want to see this one through and get a functional programming language created. So I'm making one right now called EZLang. EZLang is the easiest programming language. Um, it's designed to be as close to plain English as possible. Um, so I wanted to create something that was for people who want to learn programming, but they don't want to use Scratch or Python, or maybe Python's a little bit too difficult. People say the barrier of entry to Python is incredibly low. I agree, but you got to remember there are also people who learn a little differently, and I feel like if somebody can understand just normal English, this EZLang will be even better for them. So that being said, there will be very few special characters in the language. I think you'll have like a colon, semicolon, open and closing braces, square braces, and that's really all I can think of right now. So there won't be that many. Um, so let's kind of go over what I want to do with EZLang. So, uh, and remember, keep in mind, this is not meant to be a language for everybody to use. It's for kids, really, really old people, people who never thought about programming before. I think it'd be pretty cool to mess around with that. So we want to talk about variables first, or I guess we could talk about data types. Data types, I mean, they're we'll have numbers, decimal. Um, Now again, nothing, and this is just a planning stage. Um, Chars or characters. So things like that, like in the language, yes, the number is going to be an integer in a sense, right? Um, but I think just reading the word number might make more sense to someone than integer. Whereas the language understands what the person's talking about. If they say 1 or 1.2, they'll just like the language will know, okay, 1 isn't it an integer, uh, and then 1.2 is a floating point. But anyway, mm, variable declaration. So this is where things are a little different, I guess. So in my language or EZLang, I want things to go like this. You use so you can do X, where you have implicit type declaration. X is 1. Okay, so you just declared a variable. This would be the same thing as saying X is equal to 1 in other languages, like JavaScript or let X equal 1 or whatever the hell. Okay. You can also explicitly type it by doing number X is 1 or string, X or Y is high or something like that. Okay. You can also do this, ensure X is 1. So this is how I want to declare constants. That ensure keyword, I think that just makes more sense to me than const. So ensure X is 1, basically saying like this better be 1, meaning it can't change. Or you can do ensure number X is 1. And more examples like that. Ensure string Y is hello, ensure whatever. Um, That's how you declare constants. And if you don't have a constant, let's say you have a regular uh, variable and you want to change it at some point, you can just do something like this. Now x is 2. And there you go. That's how you can change a non-constant variable, by adding the now keyword. Kind of like how JavaScript does const x is whatever, and then or they also allow for let x or whatever. Kind of like that in a sense. So that's, that's different. Again, like I said, not very many special characters. As opposed to using the equal sign to assign a value, we're using the word is. The human, the programmer, is using the word. I shouldn't call programmers human, but the programmer is using the word is as opposed to the equal sign. Okay, so yeah, variable reassignment. If you wanted to do arithmetic, you, instead of doing plus, y or something like that, the human would actually type in this. Some might say that's kind of counterintuitive, but again, this is supposed to be for the most beginner person ever who just can comprehend plain English and wants to put it on make a program using plain English essentially. Okay, so yeah, basically, as opposed to a lot of the symbols for arithmetic or comparison, we're using words, and I'm building the program to understand these words, these keywords. Same goes with the operators and, as opposed to doing that, you'll just do that. Okay, if conditions. So the only thing that really changes here is you want to think about it as an English sentence. If this condition is whatever, do whatever's in here. A lot of languages will have else if. I don't personally like that else if. I've never liked it because when I read it, if this condition is whatever, do this. Else if, I don't like it, just doesn't sound right to me. In my head, doesn't work. So why not do if not this condition do whatever's in here. And then, as opposed to having an else, we'll have otherwise. So that's how if statements would work. You have the if not statements in between, and then finally close it out with an otherwise as opposed to an else. Think about it as plain English. If somebody told you go do something and you can't do that or whatever, they might say, all right, if this doesn't work out, otherwise do that, or something along those lines. While loops are the same. Do while loops, we'll use the until keyword until this condition, this condition is met. Do everything within here. Makes sense to me. For loops are the same. For each or for in. I like this for every as opposed to for each. The word for every, and then the singular version of that thing in items, whatever it may be. That's your example there. For every item in items, do this as opposed to for each. Like it just for every sounds better to me. Does the same thing, but the way the programmer puts it into programs it, it's a little different. But the language will understand it as other languages do. Switch cases. So I've never liked the way, I like how switch cases work, but I don't like the naming convention, just like most things in programming languages and popular languages. So as opposed to a switch case, you have something called a check. It does exact same thing. Check, and then the thing that you're checking. And in this check or switch case, you have, as opposed to cases, you have things called events. And it's called that because let's, in the event that whatever, do this. Okay. And also instead of break, you have stop. That's kind of, our break statement. So we're checking this thing. Hey, go check this thing out. In the event that it's this, do whatever. In the event that it's this, do something different, and then I don't think I didn't think about a default. I guess we could use like a default. That might work. I don't know. But yeah, that's check statement is the same thing as a switch case, just different naming convention for, I guess, keywords. Functions. Now this one I'm still thinking about very much. So I like how, I don't remember what language it was that does it. I don't know if it's Pascal or what, but I don't think it's anything. I don't know what I'm thinking about with this, but I like function declaration with do. What does a function do? It does something, right? So do, and then the function name. Let's do this like that. And then the code block. If there's no return statement or parameters, that's a function block right there. Now, if there's parameters, function 2, you can do something like this. Do this with param1 and param2. I'm not sure if I want to have it within parentheses. Probably would be good, but I like the idea of having that with in there. So again, think about it from the perspective of somebody first learning programming. They may be like, okay, I want this function to do something, but I've been hearing talk about these things called parameters. What does that really mean? Because this is actually something I struggled with when I was learning programming. What the fuck, like parameters and functions were really tripping me up at first. So if I read it like this, do this with these parameters. And here's where you put all the stuff you want to do in the function. So then you have one more, which will be function, in this case, function 3, with, let's say, param1 to, I guess, sure, param3. I like how Odin does, like, wants you to declare, like, a return type with just like, the arrow and then, whatever it may be. I might do that. That's pretty cool. But I also like the idea of just saying send as opposed to return. So at the end of it, you send out true or whatever. Send true is the same thing as return. I'm not sure if I want to do how Odin does it. I really do like how Odin does it. Where you do that, or you can have multiple return types. But for now, I'm thinking about the word send. Now, again, it looks like a lot, and it is. But sometimes, for people to understand things, you need to be a little bit more verbose and have the option to be verbose. This isn't for somebody who's been programming for 30 fucking years and thinks they know everything and does know pretty much everything. So those are functions, and then calling your functions, you would just call them like normal. Boom. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, I made a little example program. I'm not gonna really go over that, but I just went over things. So like here, do main. We're gonna send the type of a number. Result is add with, and then the parameters. So add in this case would be another function out I declared right here. And then, there you go. So this is actually a great example. I wish I had highlighting of some sort, but the same thing would be, if I did, I guess, so let's do that. So let's say this is EZLang up here. This is all EZLang, and if we did this in another language, I don't know, I guess Odin, we could do main proc, and then it returns an int, in this case. And then we also have add proc. I guess this is when return an int. Yeah, we shouldn't be returning anything here, but we are. Fuck it. So you do add 1 and 2, or 1 and 2. There you go. And then result equals that, and then we will return result. And then add would just do this. A and B are types of integers. Do that. So this will be that in Odin, and that's EZLang. So you type in a little bit more, but for somebody who might just be getting into it, granted this is a very, very simple example, I think EZLang would be incredibly easy to read. So anyway, that's the plan. I'm working on it. I am able to let's see what we have here. I'm working on reading from a string right now. So in this case, it's hard to see. So, but up here, we are doing an explicit declaration. So the word, the keyword string, or the type string comes first. So string y is a variable that I declared, is hello, and that's the value. So we're getting that, and then we're gonna keep moving forward. So this is something cool and exciting that I want to work on. I'm sorry this is a very, very long video. If I lost people, that's fine. I don't have any code in the repo yet, but I do have a repo. I'll add it to the description, and people can keep an eye out. And I might move it over to Solitude Software Organization. I don't know. Anyway, peace.